It's Wednesday, the 25th of November 2020. Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Headlines, the business news you need in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. Today's headlines. Gold is out, travel and oil stocks are back in. The local share market shifts as science begins winning the fight against COVID-19. That's our main story. Plus, mortgage rates to keep falling for a while yet. The Victorian government announces a $6 billion package for the housing market. And Queensland finally drops its restrictions on Sydney-siders and maybe even Victorians. The 12 worst performing stocks on the local share market yesterday were all gold companies. 10 of those suffered share price falls of more than 5%. 5 of the 10 top performers were oil and gas companies or offered services to that sector. They were up 5% or more. The reason? The potential of a vaccine for COVID-19 able to be rolled out to millions of people has turned the market on its head. Safe investments such as gold companies no longer look quite so attractive, even though the price of the precious metal remains relatively elevated. The riskier oil and travel stocks suddenly look well priced, particularly if you believe people will return to driving their cars and taking flights. Overall, the Australian share market jumped 1.3% yesterday to close at 6,644 points. It was a 9.5-month high, and the S&P ASX 200 is now just 7% below its record level back in February. The steady rise in recent sessions has hidden swings in sentiment within sectors of the market. The big banks are once again back in favour, and travel and transport stocks are going better. The news that AstraZeneca and the University of Oxford had developed a COVID-19 vaccine that in certain dosages provided 90% effective immunisation and can be refrigerated at normal temperatures shifted the market yesterday. On top of that, President Donald Trump effectively conceded the election yesterday, opening the way for President-elect Joe Biden to transition into the White House. The share market is in a state of transition. That doesn't mean everything is good from here. The road will be bumpy. But during November, the local market has been able to break through the 6,000-point barrier and continue climbing. Investors are prepared to take on more risk. Maybe, just maybe, they believe the economy is starting to come out the other side of the crisis. In overseas news, Wall Street jumped overnight with the S&P 500 up 1.7%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, which measures the top 30 stocks in the country, breached 30,000 points for the first time ever. Vaccine breakthroughs, the signing off of funds to allow President-elect Joe Biden to transfer to power, and some sensible cabinet appointments buoyed markets. Joe Biden has reportedly chosen former Fed Reserve Chair Janet Yellen to be Treasury Secretary. That's the most powerful economic policymaker role in the US government. He's also picked former presidential candidate John Kerry to become climate change envoy. Unlike his predecessor, Mr. Biden's team will be full of experienced Washington insiders. And the European Union has reached a deal with US biotech group Moderna to buy up to 160 million doses of its COVID-19 vaccine. Locally, Reserve Bank Deputy Governor Guy Debelle said the decision to ease monetary policy at the start of the month was already having a positive impact on the economy and had warded off a bigger appreciation in the Australian dollar. He also said that easing measures would be cut back if economic conditions improved, but warned that stopping stimulus too early would be a dangerous thing for the economy. Since early November, the RBA has purchased $5 billion of bonds in its efforts to keep the 3-year yield at 0.1%. Mr. Debelle said average mortgage rates had been declining steadily and would continue to do so. That's good news for home borrowers. The Victorian government will spend $6 billion on housing initiatives and planning changes as part of its 2021 budget released yesterday. The spend is targeted at creating jobs and boosting the economy and will be focused on 9,300 new public housing dwellings and almost 3,000 low-cost homes. The state government will waive up to 50% of stamp duty on homes worth up to $1 million for the rest of this financial year. Queensland will allow visitors from all of New South Wales into the state from 1 December, and Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk has signalled it's likely Victorians will also be able to travel from that date. Qantas and Jetstar in response said it will operate more than 1,200 extra return flights in the lead up to Christmas. The International Air Transport Association has outlined plans to restart the industry, recommending that governments verify the authenticity of COVID tests and vaccination certificates. And the trade surplus shrank by 5% to $4.8 billion during October. The Bureau of Statistics figures show that exports were up 6% and imports rose 8%. That's the Fear and Greed business headlines for today. There's more on all of these stories in today's full Fear and Greed podcast, as well as an interview with Michael Centonis from CrowdStrike about ransomware. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.